how to test for heavy metals in the body. If you've been concerned if you're dealing with a heavy metal toxicity, then you may have been wondering this very question. If that's you, then you have come to the right place because I'm here to answer that question and give you some proven strategies for helping. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Shockley, Doctor of Cause Chiropractic, board certified in sports medicine and specialized in clinical nutrition. In this video, we're going to be going over the importance of heavy metal testing and how to actually go about it accurately. Believe it or not, there is very much a method to the madness. Then we'll cover some of the experiences you might be having from a heavy metal toxicity and their negative impact on your health. If you want to have optimal health, then you need to be looking for these substances. And finally, I will be sharing with you one of the most effective supplements for safely removing these toxic particles from your body. Let's get started. What is the importance of actually testing for heavy metals? Well, it's a very good question. If you're not testing, you're guessing. Now, I know some may argue, Kelly, everybody seems to be dealing with this issue, so why can't I just do a heavy metal detox anyway? I actually was dealing with this very question with one of my patients not so long ago. And there was more to the story that was happening here. Now, there's a few different ways to test. And as I mentioned, I was going to share with you how to actually do this. When somebody comes to me, the very first thing I'm going to do when we're evaluating their overall health and well-being is not only do blood work, which a full panel, like big workup, and a urine analysis, but I'm also going to include a hair analysis. Now, hair analysis is my first entry into how are they handling toxins. We are all being exposed because our environment is the most toxic environment that we've ever lived in as humans. So yeah, they're all around us, and more than likely, people are struggling to keep up. But what a hair analysis shows me is what is my person coming in contact with right now? Like what are their high exposures? But it also gives me some insight of, is their body being able to remove these toxic heavy metals from their system? You see, our body does have the ability to detox. And if everything is working correctly about that procedure, then we should see that heavy metals are being able to be removed. But there's a lot of things that play into that. And what I find more oftentimes than not is that people are at a place where they're struggling. Something else that's critically important and why I will use a hair analysis for my initial viewpoint of how is this person doing is because I can also measure the rest of the essential elements. A lot of the minerals and the electrolytes I can appreciate from this test. Now, this is not a hair follicle test either, by the way. The lab that I use that does my hair analysis testing, they actually need about an ounce of your hair. And you want what's closest to the head because that's what gives the most recent information. Your hair, think of it as being like a highway system out of the body for removing toxins and just other things that the body doesn't want inside of it. So it's one of the highway systems. If we want to see what left the body most recently, we need the hair that's closest to the scalp. So some of my females don't get super pumped about this because who wants to cut their hair off, right? Guys have it easy. But we need what's closest to the scalp, and we want no more than an inch worth of that information. So we need to collectively get about an ounce of hair because what my lab does is they burn the hair and they test the remaining ash for those heavy metals and the essential elements. So we have to have enough hair in order to burn so that there's ash on the other side of it. So there definitely is a method to the madness. Now, I mentioned that this is the starting place I have with people. What I also do to evaluate heavy metals is I will do what's known as a urine challenge. And I don't start here because in the name of the test says challenge. So we have to challenge the body. One of the things that we see is obviously the urine is another way to expel things from the body. But if I do not find what I'm looking for in a hair analysis test, and then depending on how the blood shows, there will be different signs that are tipping me off that this person might actually not be removing metals. They might just be accumulating them in their system. Then assuming that their body is in a healthy enough space, so like kidneys are working right, liver's working right, they don't have huge amounts of inflammation, there's not other major risk factors in there that would tell me that their body's just really already too stressed. I know then I can do a little bit of a challenge test. And what the challenge test shows me is what heavy metals are they actually accumulating? You see, there's a different approach for helping get the body back online and improving its overall ability to do this on its own in both scenarios. One, we may just need to support the body. The other, we might need to do a little bit more corrective type work to get it back online so it can start handling the removal of these toxic substances on its own. To date, when I've done testing, which I'm testing for mercury and lead and cadmium, barium, aluminum, like all the things, I have only had one person not come back as an accumulator. What you need to know about that, though, is there is a specific approach for how we're going to handle those circumstances to allow them to heal faster than if you were just going to do this on your own. It is important to figure these things out because some of my patients have come to me and they have had major health crises on their hands. In order to figure out why they're in a health crisis, going down a bad path towards cancer or heart disease or, extreme diabetes, we have to back up and figure out why did this happen in the first place. Lifestyle has a lot to do with a lot of things. However, it doesn't tell us all the nitty-gritty details of the why did they end up with breast cancer, right? I don't treat cancer. I don't directly treat heart disease or diabetes either. I treat the patient as a whole. Because if we look at the person as a whole, which includes evaluating for heavy metals and toxins, then we can really fully get a picture on why did they end up in the way, shape that they're in, and how do we build back a plan moving forward that's going to give them back their health with each day. So I'm curious, did you have any idea that this is one of the ways that we evaluate for heavy metals? Have you heard of that? Did you know anything about somebody who's removing metals versus somebody that's just accumulating them? Let me know your thoughts so far. Go ahead and drop those down in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. Now we're going to talk about the negative, disruptive and destructive effects of having these heavy metals in your system. There is a lot here. So hold on and let's get going. One of the things that's fascinating to me is that heavy metals, depending on which ones they are, pretty much can impact every single system in your body. So ultimately what this means is any symptom that you're experiencing, whether it's aches and pains, or it's autoimmune, or it's neurologic in its root, it's GI related, it's hormone balancing, it doesn't matter. If you're not looking at heavy metals, then you might be missing a big contributing factor as to why you're dealing with what you're dealing. You could be experiencing tremors or headaches, infertility, or just issues, being able to keep a healthy pregnancy, that mental brain fog, anxiety, depression, any challenges with mood stabilization. Your eye health is continuing to decline. No, it's not necessarily just always about getting older. It could be just that the nutrient imbalances are there and there's inflammation and there's toxins, and your eyes are some of the most vulnerable tissues, some of the most vulnerable cells in your body. Memory issues, for sure. You see, with heavy metals, if your body's struggling to be able to keep up with how much you're being exposed, so it's struggling to eliminate them, one of the last-ditch efforts it has to protect your cells, your body from them, is to surround them with fat. Kind of how this works. It neutralizes them so that they cannot cause cell damage and death in your body. So people who have an issue with losing weight, no matter what they try, how hard they work out, what different diets they're using, they could have an underlying toxicity issue that is keeping them from being able to remove pounds, or at least keep pounds off that have already been lost. Because if your body's holding on to fat as a protective mechanism for these toxins you can't eliminate, then it's going to make sense that your body's not just going to give that up. Or maybe you've done diet and you've lost weight only to then yo-yo it all right back. Well, if you lose weight and you're smaller in your mass, but you didn't address an underlying toxicity issue, one way you can think of this is that you actually have more toxins, or you're more concentrated because there's less of you. So it amplifies it, and your body's going to want to grab on to weight again to try to protect you. Also, the highest concentration of fat in the body, do you know where that is, regardless of what we look like? Generally, it's right up here in the brain. Now, the American Medical Association does agree that high levels of exposure to aluminum and high levels of aluminum in somebody's system is part of what can precipitate into dementia and Alzheimer's. But I'm here to tell you there's far more metals that are accumulating that play into memory and focus and concentration, everything cognitive, behavior wise, to things like MS and Parkinson's and just other types of neurologic problems. Because what that means is if everything's not working the way that it should in the body, things are being able to enter the brain that shouldn't be there. And if the brain is this high source of fat in your body, it could be a lovely just holding tank for these toxins. So if you're dealing with cognitive issues and memory problems, this might be part of the underlying. Another sensation that people can get that's all neurologic related is that tingling or burning sensation in your hands and your feet. It's not always just related to diabetes. It might be a heavy metal toxicity, kidney problems, digestive issues, like I said, aches and pains throughout your whole entire body, unexplained inflammation, like doctors can't figure out what's going on with you. Oftentimes, MDs are not testing for toxins, okay? When they do, if they do, they use more of a blood test, which could have some relevance, but that isn't always where you're going to find toxins, right? The point being here is that there's not one single cell or tissue or organ system in your body that is safe from being negatively impacted by heavy metals if your body's having a challenge getting rid of them, or you're just being exposed to more than what we should be. So if you're not feeling as awesome as what you used to, and even if it's just something as simple as you're not as energetic, I still encourage you to explore this avenue, especially if it hasn't been looked at before. Now, before I get into the most effective supplement that safely removes heavy metals, I just want to take a moment and remind you to click the subscribe button down below, turn the notifications on, give me a big thumbs up if I'm doing a good job for you. I never want you to miss out on a future episode. I've done other videos that relate to this specific topic, but then also information on how to improve brain health and gut health, how to boost your immune system, and ultimately how to take back control of your health so that you can achieve what I like to call total body mastery. It's where you're basically like untouchable, you're invincible, and your health can be optimal as you get older. So click that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, and give me a big thumbs up, guys. I appreciate it. Now, what is this most effective supplement that you can safely use to help start removing these heavy metals from your system? The one that I have found that works time and time again well and is not stressful on the body is this product known as chlorella. Now, chlorella comes from algae, and there's all different kinds. And one of the things that's awesome about algae to begin with is it acts like a sponge and it absorbs toxins. So if you are going to use chlorella, it's important that the chlorella that you're using has been grown in a controlled environment, that it's not just being harvested from a lake or from the ocean or what have you, because if it is, it's probably already full of toxins because that's part of what its jobs are. So chlorellas work really well. Now, chlorella is a slower process, but it also is gentle for the body. And there's other health benefits that come from using chlorella just for overall health and well-being. One of the really cool things with chlorella is that the Japanese actually found after dealing with Hiroshima that chlorella worked to actually pull radioactivity from people's bodies as well. So that's pretty fascinating. And it's also been proven to remove like uranium and lead and mercury from bodies, even cadmium, like lots of the other heavy metals can be pulled by safely using chlorella. So if you haven't heard about chlorella, do a little bit more research on it. It is one of the things that I will use when I find that my patients are struggling with this. It is not the heavy hitter that I use if we find that they're fully accumulating, but it is something that you generally can safely add into your regimen if this is something you're concerned about. Again, I would totally suggest that you get tested first so you know what you're actually dealing with. And if there needs to be a little bit different approach to helping your body fully be able to eliminate the amount of toxins that have built up over, who knows, even a lifetime. Now, if you're sitting there going, okay, how do I get tested? Where do I get tested? Don't even fret about that. I actually have something for you that directs you through that whole process right down in the description below this video. Click on the description so it expands. Scroll down, look for the 5-day health challenge. Now, it doesn't take 5 days. It's just 5 little mini videos that explain the exact framework that I use with my patients and how you too can actually do heavy metal testing right from the very comfort of your home. By the end of it, you'll know exactly what you need to do and how you can make this happen. And even if you want to work with me directly, that's in there too. I can do that from anywhere you are compared to me. Like, you don't have to live in Colorado with me. It's amazing with technology and labs all over the place, what we can do from afar. So click on that 5-day health challenge, get started, reach out to me. And I hope that this was insightful and helpful for you. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. God bless.